This is Steve Bryan in Washington, reporting for Ziklag Systems. My guest today is Tom Malatesta. Tom is the COO, or Chief Operating Officer of Ziklag Systems, and he recently was elected as President of Maryland InfraGard. Tom, welcome to our program.
Thanks, Steve. Good to be with you this morning. InfraGard is a national organization under the sponsorship of the FBI. The state of Maryland has approximately 1,200 members, and there are chapters, and in some states multiple chapters, all across the United States. What we try to do is to bring information and training to both public and private sector individuals on the nature of the threat. And we basically are looking at the critical infrastructure of the United States and the potential threat scenarios involved with all of the critical infrastructure. So basically, InfraGard is a way to exchange really solid information with people who are interested in defeating the threat.
Now, people who are interested, let's say I was interested, Tom, how do you become a member of InfraGard?
InfraGard has many websites. Maryland has its own website. The national chapter has its website, as does everyone else. And what you do is you express an interest, you fill out a form, you get vetted, which takes about 90 to 120 days, and then you become a member of InfraGard. After you become a member, you can either just go to the meetings or you can actively participate in some of the special interest groups like physical threat, cybersecurity, insider threat, whatever.
Now, is there a charge?
No charge. Sometimes we do charge for an event. If we have a 2 or 3 hour training event, sometimes we do charge maybe $10, $25 to cover expenses.
So more or less then, this is a voluntary operation. The FBI supports it. How do they support it?
This is a completely volunteer organization, and the FBI supports it with personnel from all of their offices where the chapters are located. They support the national chapter, which has a convention every year toward the end of August, by providing excellent speakers, and they support it by giving us information that allows us to keep abreast of the threat.
And let's define the threat. Is it primarily a terrorist threat that you're looking at?
We're looking at primarily the enemies of the United States. Those enemies could be from outside the United States, or they could be from within the United States. We have, banking and finance, information and communications, power, transportation. All of these sectors are critical to the operations of day-to-day activities in the U.S., and all of them have threats. And InfraGard does its best to help educate people on the nature of those threats.
Now, you were talking about training. Can you give me a better idea of what you mean by training?
In public safety, for example, we just completed a course the other day up in Baltimore that was basically an 8-hour day. We had probably about 100 law enforcement related people. We had a number of speakers dealing with particularly agriculture and food on that day. And we have absolute ability to bring in speakers to discuss these things, and also we have certifications in some of these areas where we actually have credits that contribute towards the certification.
Oh, wow. So it's much more than just a casual chance to get together. This is pretty serious.
It is. Each event is different.
And how many events do you hold in a year?
We have one general event per month in Maryland, plus we have the special interest groups, which meet at least once a month, plus we have training sessions. So it could be anywhere from 1 to 4 events per month. On average, it's probably 2 to maybe 3.
And I assume that your job as president is to keep the ball moving and keep all this organized?
Yeah. My job as president is to keep communication channels as open as possible, to attract as many qualified individuals to speak at these events, and to help get sponsorship. We like to have sponsors. We have packages from $1,000 to $5,000 because we have a lot of events, and we need underwriting for some of those events.
So these sponsorships are corporate sponsorships?
Mostly corporate sponsorship.
Okay, so a corporation can sponsor, but individuals join. Is that the right way to look at it? That sounds like a very interesting, exciting opportunity for people to participate. I have one other question, which is when you get into these meetings and you have the FBI present or government agencies present, are they candid?
There are meetings for members only, and we have a firm and fast rule that what is talked about in the room at those meetings is for members only. We have other meetings for the general public, and in those meetings, content-wise, it probably is a little less intense. But for the most part, the communication is intended to educate, and the people in the room respect what is being discussed, and in many cases, that information doesn't go beyond the room.
Tom, thanks again for appearing on today's program and for telling us about Maryland InfraGard.